Hello children, welcome to your grammar class. Today, let us learn figures of speech. In your smaller classes, you have learned parts of speech like noun, verb, conjunction, preposition, etc. Now you may be thinking, what are these figures of speech? Figures of speech turn simple sentences into special ones by decorating them. They are the spices of writing which add color and personality to your words. There are 250 different figures of speech. Let us learn few of them here like simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration and synecdoche. The first figure of speech we are going to learn is simile. Simile is a figure of speech involving the comparison of two things or objects using words like or as based on the things they have in common. In this picture, you can see a happy girl sitting on her dad's shoulder. She is saying, "My dad is tall." If she wants to make the same sentence more interesting, she can compare her dad to a tall palm and say it as, "My dad is as tall as a palm." Look at the picture. The boy is saying, "Dad, I feel weightless." Here, if he wants to compare himself to something light as feather, he can say it as, "Dad, I feel as light as a feather." All the mothers in the world are beautiful, isn't it? In this picture, the pretty girl is looking at her mom. She's appreciating her by saying, "My mom is beautiful." She can make the same sentence more interesting by saying, "My mom is as pretty as a princess." Here, she's comparing her mother to a princess. Look at the picture. The girl is swimming. You can say she is a good swimmer. If you want to make it more interesting, you can also say it as, "She swims like a fish in the water." Here, we are comparing the girl with a fish. Look at the picture. In this picture, the small girl is holding a brother, baby brother, very gently. The girl is holding the child gently is a simple sentence. You can make it more interesting by comparing her to a lamb and say it as, "The girl is gentle like a lamb." In this picture, you can see a cute little baby sleeping. You can say the baby is sleeping, or you can make it more interesting by adding a simile and read it as, "The baby is sleeping like a doll." You're comparing the cute baby to a doll. Now, let us see what is the next figure of speech, that is metaphor. A metaphor states that one thing is something else. It is comparison of things and does not use the words like or as in simile. In simile, you say something is like another thing, but here you say something is another thing. Let us see a few examples for metaphor. In this picture, the girl is very happy in her father's arms. She says, "Dad, with you I feel very happy." That is a simple sentence. She can make it more interesting by saying, "Dad, being with you is heaven." That is a metaphor. Here she's saying comparing that particular moment to heaven. She's saying that moment is heaven. She's not saying that that moment is like heaven. She's saying the moment is heaven. Look at the picture. Funny, isn't it? A man walking as a book. You can say a person who's well read, you can call him as a knowledgeable person, or you can make it more interesting by calling him a walking encyclopedia. This is a metaphor. In your life, you might have come across very nice people, very kind and very nice to others. You can call them, "He is a kind person," or you can also say, "He has a heart of a gold." You're comparing his heart to a gold. That is a metaphor. Bill is a very active person. You can say Bill gets up early, or else you can make the same sentence more interesting by using a metaphor and say it as, "Bill is an early bird." Here you're comparing Bill to an early bird. Let us learn about the third figure of speech, personification. Personification means giving human characteristics to an object or animal to create interesting imagery. Here in this picture, you can say the leaves dance their way through the lawn. Can the leaves dance? No, they cannot, but you are imagining the leaves to dancing through the lawn. This boy is very hungry. Looking at the tasty food is making him more hungry. Instead of saying, I am hungry, he's saying the plate is calling me. Can the plate call him? No, he's imagining it. So, this is a personification. In this picture, you can see tall buildings. These buildings are so tall they touch the sky. They are also called as skyscrapers. Can they touch the sky? No, they are buildings, isn't it? We are imagining that they're going to touch the sky. That is personification. In this picture, you can see the trees shedding the leaves due to the wind. Just you can say that the tree shed the trees during windy evening, or you can say the brutal wind bullied the tree into giving up its autumn leaves. You are imagining that the wind is very brutal and it is bullying the tree and into giving up the autumn leaves. That's called personification. During rainy season, you can see lightning, isn't it? Lightning is not, it does not stay in one place. It moves around in the sky. So lightning danced across the sky is a personification where you imagine the lightning to be dancing all across the sky. Rita is feeling very hungry. She sees a pie, last piece of pie sitting on the table. She says, I heard the last piece of pie calling my name. Can the pie call Rita? No. This, she's imagining that it is calling her so that she can go there and eat it. This is called personification. Early morning and you're sound asleep. The chill of the alarm sound wakes you up. Sometimes you feel the alarm clock yells at you to get out of bed every morning. You say, my alarm clock yells at me to get out of bed every morning. I get irritated. That you're imagining your alarm clock is yelling at you. That is a personification. Cloudy night, you can see the moon sometimes hiding behind the clouds and sometimes you can see the moon. You can use a personification and say the moon played hide and seek with the clouds. Can moon actually play hide and seek with the clouds? No, you are imagining it. This is personification. Sometimes on a cloudy day, you can see the sun hiding behind the cloud. You can use the personification here and imagine and say the sun is playing with the cloud. Now let us learn another figure of speech, alliteration. Alliteration is a literary technique meaning letters of the alphabet. It is the repetition of letters or sounds that is used for emphasizing or stressing importance. They usually happen when words that start with the same sound, not necessarily the same letter, are repeated within the same phrase or sentence. When you were small, you have heard the story of the Pied Piper. Here there is a paragraph about the Pied Piper. Let us read it. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? It is nothing but a tongue twister where the sound of P is repeated several times. That is called as alliteration. Some famous examples of alliteration sentences include wise words wasted as we wait, or Betty bought some butter, but the butter was bitter, so she bought some better butter to make her bitter butter better. Or she sells seashells on the seashore. The big fat cat sat on the rat. Or Billy blows big blue balloons. Or I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Remember this? Whenever you went for a picnic and your teachers told you they're going to buy you ice cream, you used to always scream this, isn't it? Let us learn another figure of speech, synecdoche. A figure of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole or vice versa, as in India won the World Cup. Here, India means the Indian cricket team. My new wheels give excellent mileage. Here, wheels refer to a vehicle. Another example is I have too many mouths to feed. That means too many people to feed or too many children to feed. One more example, lend me your ears. That means listen to me carefully. Here there are few more sentences with synecdoche. The word was finished by hired hands means work was completed by hired workers. The word head count can refer to counting cattle or people. He is the breadwinner of the family means he earns to buy food for the family. Men in boots fought bravely means soldiers fought bravely. I was interviewed by Times meaning a reporter from Times of India interviewed me. Children, you have learned 5 figures of speech: simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration, and synecdoche. Now, one sentence can be written using all those 5 figures of speech. Let us see how. The child has beautiful eyes can be written like her eyes shine like diamonds. This is a simile. Her eyes are diamonds. That is a metaphor. Her eyes spoke to me is the personification. 20 eyes watched our every move. That is synecdoche. Eagle-eyed Ellie easily escorted Emma early to eagle watching. That is alliteration. Here is one more example. Sun looks like a bright fireball is a simile. The sun is a fireball is metaphor. The sun smiled at us is a personification, whereas the 4 eyes watched the setting sun is the synecdoche. Then the shining sun smiles sweetly at the small girl on the sand at sunset. That is the alliteration. One more example. These flowers are as bright as sunshine. It is a simile, whereas these flowers are sunshine is a metaphor. Baby Betty brilliantly boasted about bright blooms is the alliteration. The blooms filled the garden is the synecdoche. These flowers are smiling at me is the personification. Let us see one more example. Camel is like the sheep of the desert a simile, whereas camel is the sheep of the desert is a metaphor. The happy camel danced through the sand dunes is personification, whereas the caravan that guided me in the desert is a synecdoche, where the caravan means the people in the caravan guided me. Alliteration is the cool camel carried calm, cautious crowd to their camp, where C is the sound of K. C is repeated several times. One more example. Mom, I am flying like a bird is a simile. Mom, I am a bird is a metaphor. Whereas Mom, the air is talking to me is the personification. Little Lily laughed as the lovely lady let little Lily feel lively is the alliteration.